So one more thing, I would like to say that uh, all the candidates that who may be watching it, whenever you form your strategy, please don't refer to one single source or one single person, because you cannot replicate what they have done.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm hearing, the people are studying for 13 hours. I salute if they did, but I tried doing it. It's very difficult. I mean, I could not exceed 8 9 hours in.
Okay. Yes, Devan. So, congratulations first.
Thank you so much, sir.
So I have, you must be very busy, right? Lot of people coming and visiting, right?
Yes, sir.
It was a very great achievement indeed. Now, Devans, this I do every year. So let's have a 10-15 minute chat, right? And then we will talk, more. Okay, Devan. So for the, and obviously try to be as elaborative as possible, right? Because the people who
Yes, sir.
need mostly would want to take the wisdom from you. Okay. So Devans, first tell me about yourself.
Sir, I'm Devansh Gupta, and I did my schooling from Delhi Public School, Moradabad, and then I went on to pursue BLLB honors from Symbiosis Law School, Pune. I graduated in the year 2021, and since then I have been preparing for the civil services, and this is my fifth attempt at this examination.
And you secured a rank of 78 this time, 77.
77 years, sir.
Okay. Now, Devan, so it have been a very long journey, right? Obviously, 4 5 years, and that have been there have been multiple up and lows, right? I also
Yes,
know,
sir.
right? You must have gone through a lot of these phases, right? So, how to handle that? Because I have seen reports also that almost 25%, sorry, not 25%, only 7 to 8% are the first timer. Most of them are third and fourth timer, right? So it becomes a 4 to 5 year almost journey. So, how to handle that?
Sir, the main thing is that you have to keep faith in yourself and you have to believe that you can do this examination. But along with faith, you also have to be truthful to yourself, that you have to, at every stage, keep yourself accountable and in check that whether you are on the right track. And that is most necessary because otherwise you would be making efforts that would go in vain. And therefore, truthfulness and belief both are necessary to, keep going in this journey.
It means you have to sort of see that whether you have progressed or not from last attempt, right? So that is something.
Exactly. You have to always check what were your shortcomings last time, where did you lack, and then you have to conscientiously make effort to improve that. That is the most important part about this examination.
That is very okay, because I have also seen, right, your copies which were, a little bit earlier and the copy that you wrote just last year. Vast difference, right? Vast difference. Really, very,
Yes,
very
sir.
improvement you have done. Okay. Now let us go to the syllabus, subject by subject. So how did you study international law, the ones?
Sir, actually, in the beginning, when I started preparing, I was not really on the right track in my initial attempts. So I picked up Malcolm Shaw for international law, and that's a thick 1700-page book. And I made notes of each and every topic from that, but that is not necessary rarely. One could just simply either go for online notes or could refer to another book, which is, I'm forgetting the name, it's the red and yellow color book,
Mhm,
very famous book, the one which everyone resorts to for international law,
mhm.
and they can make notes topic wise. The only differentiator this time was I added a lot of current affairs from international law because there were so many events happening. So that was the only difference this time. Otherwise, it was topic wise notes were there, and also one could also refer to lectures that are there on YouTube from Bilkent University of Turkey. There is a professor who has taken lectures of international law, and one could refer to those if there is any issue in understanding a particular topic.
Okay, that is a very new resource I was also not aware of. Okay, okay. So after this interview, do send me. I will send on the Telegram group for people to see.
Right.
What about the constitutional law, the ones?
So that was VN Shukla only I resorted to. And the only difference that I made was I referred to one of the toppers copies of last time, and I saw good use of quotes and recent developments in that copy. So that I incorporated in my
Which
answers
which
this time.
copy specifically you are referring to?
Sir, again, I'm forgetting the
Also
name.
forgetting the name. Totally. Because this is something which I keep on telling, right? Ki the questions
Yeah.
are same, the answers has to be fresh, right? You cannot literally, mug up same thing and write. That's good. Okay. Now, what about the paper two, Devans? Specifically, tell me, start with the contract law. How did you go about it? Especially the topics which are in a subject in itself, right? That sales of goods
Right.
and everything. Please.
Sir, the contract law, the book was B.N. Shukla. I made notes from it, the topic wise notes from that book.
Mhm.
The only difference in contract law was my contract law notes in the end. When I concise them, they were hardly 25 pages. So, one very important thing about contract law was that you have to really curtail the amount of information because you have to know each and every section, and there are case laws for each and every section. So, the biggest problem is to consolidate contract law. Uh, with regards to Sale of Goods Act, again, there I would refer to online sources only, and I selectively read Sale of Goods Act and the Arbitration and Conciliation Act because those were so vast that I mean it was very difficult to do them completely. So I analyzed PYQs and I only did those topics.
So only the one
That's
which is required.
yes. And the Negotiable Instruments Act also I did selectively. That topics regarding
That's
the holder and holder in due course, the Section 138, and those only.
meaning of word negotiable, etc. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
And what taught you the just what about IPC? I mean, did you wrote this time what I advised? Ki initially write both IPC, BNS, and then simply write BNS, or you did the entire thing BNS only?
No, sir, I did the IPC and then gave BNS in the bracket. That's what I did for the obvious questions like murder and culpable homicide that was there this time. And IPC, I again referred to a book and made notes out of it. But IPC notes of mine were very precise again. Just the section. What does the section say? One example and one case law
Okay.
for most of the sections. And for murder and culpable homicide, of course, we did multiple case laws for the important topics like
Each of the
dacoity, theft,
differentiation you need
robbery.
at least one case law.
Yes, case laws are important in the IPC. And this time also there was a bouncer. In paper two, instead of 4 pages, there were 3 pages.
Yes.
So and that was that was surprising because the question was murder and culpable homicide, and each and every person knows the complete answer to that question. But what happened was I could see there were many students who were taken aback that they could not write case law. They planned to write case laws in the end,
In the end.
and that was something that surprised them. And unfortunately, I mean, they must have inserted case laws then in somewhere in between. That was a bouncer this time, so
No, no, this is,
more
one girl,
knowledge also
one
maybe
girl,
harmed them.
yes, one girl actually called me after the mains exam from the center itself, ki, sir, I got wrong paper, something like that, right? And then I told her,
So
this is not
even I felt that this is something. I mean, this has never happened.
never happened. Yeah.
So that was surprising.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay, now let us come to the CLD portion, Devans. A little bit tell about the CLD. How did you go about it?
Sir, CLD, I refer to online sources and made notes out of them. I analyzed the PYQs and I just referred to the nature of questions they are asking, and I made notes of the CLD portion. Also, in on your website, also some topics are very elaborately given, like media trial and intellectual property and competition. So I also took help of those notes and I made my own notes, and at the end of it.
So you took that base and then you sort of add on by
Yeah.
yourself, dependent. So,
Yes.
now, what about the current affair? What were the sources that you gathered from the current affair?
Uh, Sir, current affairs, particularly the recent case laws, there were some with respect to murder. There was one this time, Anbaz Agan versus the state of Tamil Nadu, if I'm not getting it wrong. And
Mhm.
then there was one regarding difference between legal insanity and mental insanity, the Rupesh Thapa versus state of Sikkim.
Mhm.
And these type of case laws for the IPC. And then for international law, as I mentioned, the recent geopolitical events, there were far the large number of events were there to add examples.
Okay, so
Also, one differentiation that I made was that one of my friends he used to refer to the constitutional positions of various other constitutions. For example, if the question asks about appointment of judges, so you can write about the South African example. That's really good. So
the
that's perhaps a
comparative
differentiator.
constitutional law, basically.
Yeah, the comparative one. Yes.
Okay, good. So this is a new perspective, right? Because this is something which will give you an add-on marks, right? That is a very good thing. Okay, now let us move to the non-academic question. No, it is academic, but in that sense, non-academic question, right? That is with regard to the person who is suppose preparing for this, right? And then how to go about it, right? As I know that you did not take any coaching, right? And you self-prepared it. So tell me with regard to preparation, that if a person wants to prepare, how much time he should devote, and what are the steps he must follow so that in fourth and fifth year he could complete the entire law option syllabus.
I took a lot of time to do this syllabus, so perhaps I'm not the best person to advise. But one
Okay.
thing I can say is that I used to divide my time between law optional and GS when I was initially preparing for it. So in the morning, I used to do for 4 hours around this law optional and then 4 hours general studies. Uh, the way I went about it was quite academic, quite conventional. I referred to the basic books that were there in the law school and I made notes out of them. But perhaps now enough material is available that one need not go through this all this groundwork. They can make their own notes from the already existing notes and from various other sources that would really shorten the time span to complete the syllabus, at least for subjects that are known to everyone. For example, constitutional law, contract law, IPC are familiar to every person. International law, perhaps it takes little time to understand what really they want to know from you in the answer. So that's the simple way they can go about it.
No, no, you are the only candidate, perhaps, right, in the last 2, 3 years that is not talking about the keys, right? So you and I could see that you went to the conventional way, right, and referred to the traditional books itself. Yes, that is actually a very good approach. Okay, now Devans, tell me that given this age of technology, right, I am asking this question this time to the every candidate, right? How does AI has helped you? Did you take the benefit of AI, or did you find any innovative use of AI in the preparation?
Not very much, sir, but yes, I did use it for doing the topics at the fag end of international law syllabus. For example, you have NIEO, and you have terrorist conventions. You also refer to hijacking,
Mm.
and so to have a gist of short understanding of each and every convention. So I used to just simply refer to Chicago Convention, summarize it. So it will list down 4 5 points, and I would just simply note them. So that's how I used it. I did not really refer it for referring to case laws because it hallucinates and perhaps the case law does not exist. So that would not be very wise.
Even the code
I
does not
referred to the
exist, right?
exactly. So it's a case law that does not exist. The parties do not exist, but you have cited them in the paper.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay. Now, one thing, I have seen a lot of people, who are from good colleges like yourself also. They sometimes struggle to go for this CSAT portion, right? They qualify GS, normally most of the time, but they sometimes struggle in CSAT because they feel like, okay, they are given CLAT, so this is something which is nothing, right? So in that sense, do you think there is any difference or something special has to be put in with regard to the CSAT portion for the law graduates?
Sir, even I am not very good at maths. I do know maths until the stage of class 10th. But my approach to approaching CSAT was very simple. That first, what I used to do in the first 45 minutes, just do those questions, the non-English questions, the reasoning and the maths questions in the first 45 minutes. Try to do maximum of them. So you would do 20 around questions of them. And then in the next 45 minutes, go to the passages and go to short passages and mark their answers, and in the end you would have 15 20 minutes left with you, and then try to do those questions that are difficult but you can find the answer to. That was my approach. I never used to fight with any question that I would cull out the answer of this question and keep on solving it. If at first glance in 1 minute I cannot solve a question of logical reasoning or mathematics, I used to simply leave it.
That is a very good
That
approach.
approach worked for me, yes.
Mainly, you have to just take out the things which you can solve very, in the first glance, and then
Yep.
you have to
Yeah.
go to the second level.
Yes, because I know of a friend, he is an IITian, and they are expert in mathematics. In 2023, what they did was they started doing mathematics, and then they started solving each and every question. So, despite knowing each and every question, they could not, clear the cutoff because all the time was consumed in solving mathematics question. And they first attacked mathematics because they thought that that's their strong suit. But that year, the CSAT paper was
Very
very
tough.
difficult. I mean,
2023, you are,
yeah.
I
So
think, referring to.
23, yes. So I have a friend who qualified for JE but could not qualify the CSAT.
Right. So this is something, that is a very good wisdom. Now, with regard to law, right, a lot of people who are in college, right? So can they sort of mix the preparation of law optional with their college thing, right? Any tips or any guidance with regard to that?
So they should not start really preparing for UPSC right in their college days. Fourth and fifth year is really where you have fun, make long-term relationships, have friends. So I would not advise that. But of course, you can definitely develop foundational understanding of the subjects that you will have to eventually prepare for this examination. That you can do, but I would not advise someone to really start preparing for this examination in their college days.
Okay, you live your life, go on with it, and then the competition, the whole
Yes.
life there is a competition, right? So at least in those 3 to 4 years, that is a very great sort of senior advice. Okay, now the last question, with regard to that is that sometime I have seen people, struggling to finish their entire answer in a 3 hour window, right? So any special thing that you tried that worked for you, which you would like to sort of pass on?
Nothing special, sir, but this time the way I approached answer writing was last time also when I gave the law paper, I did write complete comprehensive answers, but I thought my approach was wrong. Despite writing the information, could not get good marks. I had 245 that year. So
Mhm.
this time, what I did was I approached them like GS answers. So I used to pick up headings from the question itself, from the language of the question itself, and differentiate the answers in parts so that each and every part is clearly visible to the examiner. And I used to keep my points very short as possible, and put case laws. And I never used to begin answers with case laws. That you advise that don't begin the answer with case law, otherwise the examiner would feel that you do not know the point, and then you're trying to fill in the space with the case law. So what I used to do is I used to write a point, and then in bracket I would write the case law. That's what I did.
So this advice of my worked, I think, this time. See, the purpose is
Oh
that
yes, sir.
you do that, first when you write some gist of it, one line or one, two words, dash, you underline that gist or box that gist,
Yes.
then write the entire thing and there's case. So both of them is highlighted. So if the examiner don't
Yes.
want to read the entire thing, they will just read that one, two words. And then in bracket, the case is also there, right? So they can also see the case. Okay, so he knows both the things, right? So that gives a very good interest. Okay. So that's very good. So you are in Delhi or you are at your home time only?
No, sir, I am in my hometown.
Hometown. So when you are planning to come to Delhi next month?
So no plan as of now, but yes, I will visit Delhi. I
Okay.
have
So
friends there. I would like to
yes.
visit them. So
Also, I
yes.
will request you to visit. Right. I will organize a session. Right, to the people. Right. Every day. See, even though I tell them the same thing multiple times, hearing it from a successful candidate gives it much more weightage, right? People feel like, okay, that is something, they can really learn from you. Okay, so whenever you are in Delhi, I will obviously coordinate, ask Anjali to coordinate, right? So whenever you are in Delhi, do come and let's have a 1 hour or something session, right, where you can sort of give them your experience and how.
So one more thing, I would like to say that uh, all the candidates that who may be watching it, whenever you form your strategy, please don't refer to one single source or one single person, because you cannot replicate what they have done.
to go about it. Okay, Devans?
Yes. So one more thing, I would like to say that uh, all the candidates that who may be watching it, whenever you form your strategy, please don't refer to one single source or one single person, because you cannot replicate what they have done. So please refer to multiple toppers, multiple successful candidates, and they may not be rank holders within top 100. There are very good candidates who are in the ahead of 100 rank, and they have really good strategies. So please refer to multiple people's strategies, and then try to figure out what works for you. And please spend 5, 4, 5, 7 days in this process, because once you finalize a strategy, then please stick to it, and don't try to replicate someone else's journey to your own. That's what I would like to say to the people.
This portion I will ask to keep them in the front, right? Because this is something which is sort of a wisdom, ultimately. That is very true. See, because everyone learning capacity is different, everyone's learning curve is different, everyone writing habit, right? Some of them try to write the answers, in segment. कि, okay, half an hour, as half an hour kal. Someone wants to sit and write the entire thing in one go, right? So that is really very different for different people, right? They cannot literally Like no one becomes Buddha sitting in the same tree, right? Because
Exactly.
process is different. Process is different. That is very true. Any other words of wisdom that you have
I
learned
know,
from
sir.
answering this?
I'm not so wise to give wisdom. It's just the experience that I want to share. And also, I read a book of Daniel Kahneman. He said, when you are really happy, uh, and you have goal in your inside, the brain tries to fill in information which perhaps may not be true. So that's what when I cleared the examination, I did write that it's not the reality of mine. The people would be surprised to know I did write tests in October and November last year, but this time in mains I did not get time to write the test. I just wrote one test and I got it corrected from you, and all that suggestions that you gave me I incorporated. I just wrote one test for law optional this time, but this
No,
is not a good advice.
that is that.
This you should not follow. You should write more tests because it really helps. But somehow it worked for me this time. Perhaps I was lucky.
No,
So
not
I
lucky.
cannot
Actually,
now say.
this is the smartness thing. I will tell you one other thing. That girl that got rank 7, I just evaluated her two tests. Now I asked her, after she qualified, why did you not write all the tests? So she said something very interesting. She said, sir, I understood what you wanted to do for me in the paper. Those, small things. I simply implemented it, and that worked for me. Right? So even if you got only one test row written right, or आपको समझ में आ गया ना कि what are the things that is required, and you did it, that is okay. ठीक है, that is something is very easily doable. Yeah.
Another thing that I'm hearing, the people are studying for 13 hours. I salute if they did, but I tried doing it. It's very difficult. I mean, I could not exceed 8 9 hours in even when I was preparing for mains. So that's what I was wondering. That perhaps the brain is filling information that is not exactly true. So I did write about it that studied only this much. I did this. I did this. I did this, and perhaps I was lucky. It's 20% luck. 80% is hard work. So that's my truth that I want to convey through you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is really, very, very, very helpful to the candidates, and that is why, I was requesting that you come and you give a, full lecture, right, whereby the students will also, ask the doubts that they have. Sometimes they don't ask the teachers, right, but they, will ask you. So let's have a, a conversation then also. Whenever you are in Delhi, no hurry. I mean, next month, next week, okay. So that is also okay. So whenever you're in Delhi, do come and let's meet and have a conversation on that also. Okay, and
Right.
congratulations,
Thank you so much,
Devansh.
sir.
Really a very great achievement. Okay, and best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.